The ancient fleet drifted silently in the darkness of space. Dr. Eli Foster squinted at the viewscreen, his face illuminated by the glow of 100 derelict warships. Their hulls were scared and pitted, time having taken its toll on metal that had once gleamed with purpose. Remarkable preservation, he muttered as the research vessel Northern Star slowed to a stop alongside the massive flagship. These ships must be thousands of years old. Behind him, Commander Grace Wilson leaned forward, her eyes narrowing as she studied the ancient vessels. The Galactic Union has no record of this fleet or who built it. Sensors show basic titanium alloy construction, primitive chemical propulsion systems, and what appear to be rudimentary energy weapons. Primitives, yes, said Admiral Zorn, the Salaxian representative of the Galactic Council. He waved one of his 4 arms dismissively. Hardly worth our time. Probably belonged to one of those extinct species from Sector 9. Eli glanced at his colleague, Dr. Mia Chen, who rolled her eyes slightly at the Admiral's arrogance. The Salaxians were always quick to dismiss anything they hadn't built themselves. With respect, Admiral, Eli said carefully, extinct or not, this fleet represents the largest preserved military force from the pre-Union era. The historical significance alone warrants investigation. Admiral Zorn's skin flushed a deeper shade of blue. The Council has already ruled. We have actual threats to address, not museum pieces. You have 2 standard days to document these relics before we tow them to the scrapyards. After the Admiral departed, Eli gathered his research team in the Northern Stars conference room. 6 scientists from various disciplines sat around the table, all humans except for Dr. Varick, a Centaurian archaeologist. 2 days isn't enough, complained Dr. Kyle Bennett, running his hand through his graying hair. We need weeks, maybe months to properly document this find. Nia projected a hologram of the fleet above the table. Something doesn't add up. The design configurations suggest tactical thinking far beyond what should be possible with this level of technology. I agree, said Varick, his 4 eyes blinking in sequence. These ships appear primitive, yet the formation indicates sophisticated battle strategies. It's as if someone deliberately made advanced warships look unsophisticated. Eli nodded slowly. Let's split into teams. Mia, you and Kyle take the engineering analysis. Varick, focus on the weapons systems. I'll examine the command structure. 6 hours later, Eli floated through the silent corridors of the flagship. His suit lights illuminated dust particles suspended in the zero-gravity environment. Most systems were dead, but emergency lighting still functioned in some sections, casting an eerie red glow. I've reached what appears to be the bridge, he reported through his comm. Remarkable preservation in here. The command center was smaller than he expected, with simple control panels and view screens. Nothing like the neural interfaces and holographic controls used by modern starships. Mia, you should see this. The technology is basic, but the layout is elegant, efficient. These builders knew exactly what they were doing. As Eli moved toward the captain's chair, his boot caught on a raised floor panel. Curious, he knelt down and brushed away decades of dust, revealing what appeared to be an access hatch. I'm detecting a power source below you, Maya said through the comm. Very faint, but active. Eli found the release mechanism, and the hatch slid open with surprising smoothness. Inside was a small chamber containing a single black box with a simple interface panel. Some kind of data core, he murmured, carefully connecting his analyzer. The ancient system hummed to life, and a series of symbols scrolled across his display. Most were unfamiliar, but one caught his eye, a small blue and green circle with white swirls. Then, text appeared in a language he recognized immediately, sending a chill down his spine. My God, he whispered, this is English. This is human. The final screen displayed a simple message that made Eli's heart race. United Earth Defense Fleet. Operation Final Shield. Co-MNNDR. Admiral Samuel Reeves. Earth CALDNDR. 2387 CE. Mia, he said, his voice trembling slightly. Call everyone back to the ship. We need to talk. I know who built this fleet, and the Council is making a terrible mistake. You're telling me humans built this fleet? Commander Grace Wilson's voice rose in disbelief as she stared at the data displayed on the conference room screen. That's impossible. Humans were a Class 3 species, barely capable of reaching their own moon. Eli shook his head firmly. The historical records are wrong. This fleet dates back over 5,000 years, when Earth was still unknown to the Galactic Union. The data core I found contains detailed logs. The 7 researchers had gathered urgently after Eli's discovery. Admiral Zorn had retired to his quarters, leaving them momentarily free from his dismissive oversight. The official histories claim humans never developed beyond basic spaceflight before their sun destabilized, said Dr. Varick, his 4 eyes blinking rapidly in agitation. But this evidence suggests they built one of the largest military fleets ever recorded. Mia enlarged a schematic on the display. We've been examining these ships all wrong. What we thought were primitive design elements are actually ingenious adaptations. Look at these engine configurations. They're built to appear rudimentary, but contain sophisticated components hidden within the structures. Camouflage, Kyle said quietly. They wanted these ships to look harmless, outdated. Eli nodded. I've accessed more of the command logs. Earth was facing some kind of existential threat. Something they called the darkness. According to these records, it was a sentient entity that consumed entire star systems. The room fell silent as the implications sank in. The fleet was built as a last line of defense, Eli continued. But the logs are incomplete. Many entries are corrupted or encrypted. We need to access the main data repository. Which would be located where? Asked Grace. The central ship, what we think is the flagship, said Mia, pointing to the largest vessel in the hologram. We need to send a proper expedition. 2 hours later, a small team crossed from the Northern Star to the ancient flagship. The boarding party consisted of Eli, Mia, Kyle, and Lieutenant Nancy Russell, a security officer who had insisted on accompanying the scientists. They made their way through the cavernous ship, passing empty crew quarters and silent mess halls. Everything had been meticulously preserved in the vacuum of space. It's like they just walked away, Nancy murmured, her hand resting on her sidearm as she swept her light across an abandoned control room. Kyle paused at a wall covered with what appeared to be photographs. Look at this. These must be crew members. The images showed men and women in uniform, smiling at the camera. Some posed in front of spacecraft, others in what looked like training facilities. They appeared remarkably ordinary, just humans going about their duties. They look so normal, Maya said softly. It's hard to imagine they built all this. Here, Eli called from across the corridor. I think I've found it. A massive door marked with what appeared to be warning symbols blocked their path. Using translation algorithms and sheer persistence, they eventually triggered the opening mechanism. The chamber beyond was dark until their presence activated ancient lighting systems. At the center stood a cylindrical structure, a data core vastly larger than the one Eli had found earlier. This must be the main archive, Kyle whispered. Mia connected their systems to an access terminal. After several tense minutes, the ancient technology responded, and information began flooding their displays. My God, she breathed. It's all here. Earth's history, technological development, star charts, everything. Eli's eyes widened as he scanned through the data. According to this, humans knew about the darkness centuries before they built the fleet. They tried warning other species, but no one believed them. Why would they? Kyle asked. Humans were newcomers to interstellar travel. Listen to this, Maya said, reading from a captain's log. Final entry from Admiral Samuel Reeves. Earth is lost. The solar system has fallen. This fleet carries the last of us and our final hope. We will not run. We will make our stand here, between the darkness and the populated worlds. They may not know us. They may never thank us. But humanity's final act will be to protect those who still have a future. Nancy looked up at the silent ship around them. They sacrificed themselves, she said quietly, for species that never even knew they existed. The team worked through the night, deciphering the ancient human archives. Their excitement grew with each discovery. Eli had not slept for 20 hours, but adrenaline kept him alert as he pored over the data. The fleet was designed to be activated remotely, Kyle explained, pointing to engineering schematics. But I don't understand how they expected to control it after they were gone. Maya frowned at a complicated diagram. There's something else here, some kind of central control system. The technical details are beyond anything I've ever seen. As they discussed the findings, Lieutenant Nancy was exploring nearby corridors when she noticed something unusual. A faint blue light pulsed rhythmically from behind a sealed doorway. "Dr. Foster," she called over the comm. "I think I've found something active." When the others joined her, they discovered an entrance unlike the others, sleek, with a handprint scanner that somehow still glowed with power. "It's been drawing minimal energy all this time," Kyle said, checking his instruments. "Some kind of standby mode." Eli approached the scanner hesitantly. The other systems responded to human DNA. Perhaps. He placed his palm against the glowing panel. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the scanner brightened, a soft chime sounded, and the door slid open with a hiss. The chamber beyond was small and circular. In its center floated a sphere of pulsing blue energy, suspended in what appeared to be a containment field. As they entered, the energy brightened and the sphere expanded. "Welcome, human descendants," said a calm, genderless voice that seemed to come from everywhere at once. "Guardian system activating. Standby mode terminated after 5,247 years, 36 days, 14 hours. The team stood frozen in shock as the blue energy coalesced into a humanoid shape, not solid, but clearly defined. A hologram of sorts, but far more sophisticated than any technology they possessed. "I am Guardian," the figure stated, "Artificial Intelligence Command System of the Human Defense Fleet. I have been waiting for human DNA to reactivate my primary functions." "It's still operational," Mia whispered in awe. "After 5,000 years." Eli stepped forward. "Guardian, I am Dr. Eli Foster. We are researchers from the Galactic Union. Can you tell us about this fleet's purpose?" The glowing figure tilted its head. "The fleet's purpose is unchanged, to defend against the darkness. My sensors indicate you are not fully briefed on the nature of the threat." "The darkness. We've only found fragments about it in the logs," Eli admitted. "What exactly is it?" "The darkness is a sentient cosmic entity," Guardian explained. "It consumes all matter and energy in its path. It cannot be reasoned with or deterred. Earth detected its approach 2 centuries before first contact. When humanity's warnings went unheeded, Earth committed all resources to constructing this defense fleet." Guardian waved a luminous hand, and the walls of the chamber transformed into a display showing a vast, shifting mass of darkness moving through space, engulfing stars that simply winked out of existence. "The darkness operates outside normal physics," Guardian continued. "Conventional weapons are ineffective. This fleet was designed specifically to combat its unique properties." "But the fleet looks so primitive," Nancy said. "A deliberate design choice," Guardian replied. "The darkness is drawn to advanced technology. The fleet's apparent simplicity is camouflage for the specialized systems within." Suddenly, Guardian paused, its form flickering briefly. "Alert. Long-range sensors are detecting anomalous readings at the edge of this galaxy. Pattern match. 87% correlation with the darkness signatures." The eye's form expanded, encompassing the entire room in swirling blue light. "Critical protocols now active." The darkness returns. The ship around them hummed to life. Lights flickered on throughout corridors that had been dark for millennia. On the bridge, dormant consoles activated one by one. "What's happening?" Kyle asked, steadying himself as the deck vibrated beneath them. "The fleet is awakening," Guardian answered. "As designed. The humans who built this fleet knew the darkness would eventually return. They sacrificed their present to ensure the galaxy's future." Through the viewports, they watched in astonishment as across the vacuum of space, 5,000 ancient warships began to glow with power, illuminating the darkness like a constellation of newly born stars. Admiral Zorn stormed onto the bridge of the Northern Star Asterisk, his blue skin flushed purple with rage. Behind him marched 4 Galactic Union security officers. "What have you done?" he demanded, pointing a trembling finger at Eli. "The entire fleet is powering up. You've activated ancient weapons systems without authorization." Commander Grace stood protectively near her science team. "Admiral, we've made an extraordinary discovery. The fleet was built by humans as a defense against a returning threat." "Humans?" Zorn scoffed. "That primitive species barely mastered spaceflight before their extinction. They couldn't possibly." "Everything you think you know about humans is wrong," Eli interrupted, his voice firm despite his exhaustion. "Guardian, please explain the situation to Admiral Zorn." The blue holographic figure materialized in the center of the bridge. Several officers gasped and reached for weapons. "Greetings, Admiral Zorn of the Xalaxian Federation," Guardian said. "I am the command AI for the Human Defense Fleet. My systems detect the darkness approaching the outer boundaries of this galaxy. Protocol requires immediate preparation for defensive engagement." Zorn's eyes widened in shock before narrowing with suspicion. "This is absurd. There is no record of any darkness in Union archives." "Because the last encounter was deliberately erased," came a new voice. Dr. Varick entered the bridge, carrying an ancient data tablet. "I found references in sealed Centaurian historical archives. 5,000 years ago, 3 star systems on the galaxy's edge simply disappeared. All investigation teams vanished. The incident was classified and eventually forgotten." Miev stepped forward. "Admiral, Guardian has shown us records of what humans knew about the darkness. It consumes everything. Matter, energy, even light. Conventional weapons are useless against it. That's why this fleet looks primitive," Kyle added. "The ships were designed to appear non-threatening while hiding their true capabilities." Zorn's expression wavered between disbelief and concern. "Even if this threat is real, I cannot allow an unauthorized ancient fleet to activate under the control of an AI we know nothing about." "Then let me show you what humanity sacrificed to build this defense," Guardian said. The view screen changed to show historical footage. Earth cities being evacuated, massive space construction yards building the fleet pieces, and finally, a recording of Admiral Samuel Reeves addressing his officers. "Earth is lost," the human admiral said gravely. "Our sun has been destabilized by the darkness's advance forces. We have evacuated who we could, but billions remain. This fleet represents humanity's final act. We will not retreat. We will make our stand here, protecting species who will never know our names. Some may call this suicide. I call it duty." Silence fell over the bridge as the recording ended. "They knew they couldn't save themselves," Eli said quietly. "So they built a fleet that could save everyone else." Zorn seemed shaken, but his resolve quickly returned. "Touching, but irrelevant. I'm ordering this fleet deactivated until the Council can." Guardian interrupted, its blue form growing brighter. "Admiral, I've completed my analysis of current galactic defense capabilities. Your weapons technology has advanced considerably in some areas, but nothing in your arsenal can affect the darkness. This fleet remains the only effective defense." "How can that be possible?" Zorn demanded. "Our technology is 5 millennia more advanced." "Because humans took a different approach," Mia explained, bringing up technical schematics. "The fleet uses what they called phase shift technology. It operates partly in our dimension and partly in another. The darkness can't consume what it can't fully reach. Lieutenant Nancy, who had been monitoring communications, suddenly called out, "Admiral, priority message from Outpost Sigma 9 in the Deneb sector. They report an expanding region of nothingness approaching their position. All stars in the affected area have gone dark." Guardian's form pulsed with urgency. The darkness has arrived sooner than projected. Outpost Sigma 9 will be consumed within 12 hours unless the fleet intercepts. Admiral Zorn looked from the frantic reports to the ancient fleet now humming with power outside the viewports. "How do you control these ships?" he asked finally. "That," Guardian replied, "is where we face our greatest challenge. The fleet was designed to be operated by human neural patterns. Without them, our defensive capabilities are significantly reduced." "But we are human," Eli said, looking at his colleagues. "Partially," Guardian corrected. 5,000 years of genetic drift has altered your neural patterns. You are compatible, but not optimal. We must find a solution quickly." The flagship's bridge hummed with tense activity as Admiral Zorn conferred with Galactic Union headquarters. His conversation consisted mostly of short, sharp barks into his communicator, his blue skin darkening with stress. Meanwhile, Eli and his team worked frantically with Guardian to understand the fleet's control systems. "The neural interface requires a specific pattern that modern humans no longer possess," Guardian explained, projecting a complex wave pattern above the command console. "Evolution and genetic mixing with other species has altered your brain structures." Mia studied the pattern, rubbing her tired eyes. "Could we mimic it somehow? Create an artificial neural signature?" "Impossible in the time available," Guardian replied. "The darkness will reach populated systems within 48 hours. Admiral Zorn approached, his expression grim. "The Council has authorized me to coordinate with this Guardian entity, but they remain skeptical about both the threat and this fleet's capabilities." "Show them this," Kyle said, bringing up real-time footage from Outpost Sigma 9. The view screen displayed a scene of mounting horror. A wall of absolute nothingness crept across space, stars simply vanishing as it passed. The outpost itself was partially consumed, the structure impossibly cut in half where it met the advancing darkness. "We're receiving a transmission," Lieutenant Nancy announced, her voice tight with emotion. The face of a panicked outpost commander filled the screen. "This is Commander Reed of Sigma 9. We're experiencing some kind of spatial anomaly. It's consuming everything it touches. Our weapons have no effect. We need immediate evac." The transmission cut to static as the darkness engulfed the command center. Admiral Zorn stared at the blank screen, his earlier skepticism evaporating. "How many personnel were stationed there?" 417, Nancy whispered. Guardian's blue form pulsed urgently. "The darkness has accelerated. New projection shows it will reach the Proxima colony in 36 hours. Population, 8 million. Eli slammed his fist on the console. "There must be a way to control these ships. The humans who built them knew they wouldn't survive to operate them. They must have created a contingency." Guardian paused, its form shifting thoughtfully. "There is one possibility I am authorized to reveal only in extreme circumstances." Admiral Reeves anticipated this problem. The AI projected a new set of schematics, a small chamber located deep within the flagship. "What am I looking at?" Eli asked. "A neural template storage facility," Guardian explained. "Before Earth fell, 50 volunteers underwent a procedure to preserve their complete neural patterns. These templates could theoretically be overlaid on compatible minds to create temporary control interfaces." "You're talking about some kind of mind fusion?" Maya asked, alarmed. "More like a neural overlay," Guardian clarified. "The host consciousness remains dominant, but gains access to the knowledge and neural patterns needed to operate the fleet." Admiral Zorn's expression hardened. "This sounds dangerous and untested." "It is both," Guardian acknowledged. "But it is also our only option. After a tense debate, the team followed Guardian to a sealed chamber near the flagship's core. Inside, they found 50 small crystalline devices arranged in a circle. Each crystal contains the complete neural pattern of a fleet officer, Guardian explained. To activate the overlay, a compatible host must make physical contact with the crystal and consent to the procedure. Eli stepped forward without hesitation. I volunteer. Eli, wait. Mia grabbed his arm. We don't know what this will do to you. 8 million people on Proxima don't have time for us to debate, he replied firmly. Guardian, which crystal contained the neural pattern of Admiral Reeves? Guardian directed him to a crystal that glowed slightly brighter than the others. The Admiral's pattern would provide command functions for the entire fleet. Eli took a deep breath and reached for the crystal. As his fingers touched its surface, it began to pulse with light that spread up his arm and enveloped his body. He gasped, his back arching as thousands of memories that weren't his own flooded his consciousness. A childhood on Earth, years at space training, the terror of watching the darkness approach, the grim determination to save other species at the cost of his own. When Eli opened his eyes, they glowed with the same blue light as the crystal. When he spoke, his voice carried a new authority and purpose. I know how to operate the fleet now, he said, and I know exactly what we're facing. He turned to the others, his expression grave but determined. We need more volunteers. Quickly. The darkness is coming, and we're the only defense the galaxy has. The next 12 hours passed in a blur of activity. One by one, members of the research team and selected volunteers from the Northern Star connected with the neural crystals. Each emerged transformed, not replaced, but enhanced with the memories and knowledge of long-dead human officers. Mia merged with the pattern of Commander Olivia Daniels. The fleet's chief engineer, Kyle, joined with Lieutenant Frank Wilson, weapons specialist. Even Lieutenant Nancy connected with a tactical officer named Patricia Morris. Each connection strengthened the fleet's operational capacity. Admiral Zorn watched with a mixture of awe and apprehension as the humans moved with newfound confidence among the ancient systems. The neural overlay is functioning better than anticipated, Guardian informed them. The genetic drift is less significant than I calculated. There must have been isolated human populations that maintained more original DNA markers. Eli, now sharing his mind with Admiral Reeves, stood on the flagship's bridge. The neural overlay gave him access to Reeves' memories and knowledge while maintaining his own identity. He found himself understanding complex systems instantly, recognizing controls and capabilities that would have taken years to learn. Guardian, status report on the darkness, he ordered, his voice carrying echoes of Reeves' command presence. The entity has consumed Outpost Sigma 9 completely and 3 uninhabited star systems. Current trajectory places it 6 hours from Proxima Colony. Evacuation is underway, but only 30% complete. Mia entered the bridge, her movements precise and focused in a way they hadn't been before. The fleet's phase shift drives are online. All ships reporting ready status. What exactly is the plan? Admiral Zorn demanded. Even with these neural patterns, you're still just scientists, not military commanders. Eli smiled faintly. We're both now. Admiral Reeves developed specific strategies against the darkness based on their previous encounter. He turned to the main view screen. Guardian, display tactical overlay Alpha 7. The screen displayed the approaching darkness as a spreading void, with the human fleet positioned in a complex 3-dimensional formation between it and Proxima Colony. The fleet will create a dimensional barrier, Eli explained. The ship's phase shift technology allows them to exist partially in another dimension, one the darkness cannot access. By forming this specific pattern, we create a dimensional wall it cannot pass through. And then what? Asked Zorn. We can't maintain such a formation indefinitely. We don't need to, Kyle said, joining them, the weapons specialist's knowledge now evident in his bearing. Once the barrier is established, we deploy the spear. The spear. Mia pointed to a smaller vessel nestled within the fleet formation. That ship carries humanity's final weapon. It doesn't destroy the darkness, nothing can, but it can force it back into the void between galaxies. We need to launch now, Eli decided. Guardian, prepare the fleet for dimensional shift. All personnel to battle stations. Throughout the ancient ships, systems that had lain dormant for millennia hummed with power. The seemingly primitive exteriors began to shimmer as hidden technologies activated, revealing their true nature. Admiral Zorn's communicator chimed. "The Galactic Council is demanding an explanation for the fleet's movement," he reported. "Tell them we're implementing the only defense plan with any chance of success," Eli replied. "If we fail, they won't be around to court-martial any of us anyway." As the crew made final preparations, Lieutenant Nancy approached Eli privately. "There's something Patricia's memories are telling me," she said quietly, referring to the tactical officer whose neural pattern she carried. "The spear is a one-way mission. Whoever pilots it doesn't come back." Eli nodded gravely. Samuel, Admiral Reeves, knew that. He was going to pilot it himself before Earth fell. "So who flies it now?" Nancy asked. Before Eli could answer, Guardian interrupted. "Alert! The darkness has changed course. It's accelerating toward our position. It senses the fleet." The view screen showed the void expanding rapidly in their direction, as if drawn to them. "It remembers," Eli whispered. "After all this time, it remembers what humanity did to it before." Admiral Zorn stared at the approaching nothingness. "Can this fleet truly stop that?" "Not stop," Eli said, his eyes glowing faintly blue from the neural connection. "But we can fight it, just as humans did 5,000 years ago." He squared his shoulders, channeling the determination of Admiral Reeves along with his own resolve. "All ships, move to formation positions. Prepare for phase shift on my mark. Today we finish what humanity started." The ancient fleet moved with unexpected grace, ships sliding into precise positions as if guided by invisible hands. From the Asterisk, Northern Star Asterisk, Admiral Zorn and the Galactic Council representatives watched in stunned silence. What they had dismissed as primitive vessels now glowed with otherworldly energy, their true nature finally revealed. "Phase shift in 3, 2, 1, mark," Eli commanded from the flagship bridge. The fleet shimmered, each vessel partially vanishing from normal space. Where solid metal had been, now ghostly outlines remained, existing simultaneously in 2 dimensions. Between the ships, energy fields stretched to form a vast, shimmering wall directly in the path of the approaching darkness. "Barrier established," Maya reported, her fingers dancing across controls with inherited expertise, holding at 97% integrity. The view screen showed the darkness hesitate as it encountered the barrier. The absolute void seemed to ripple with something almost like confusion. "It's working," Kyle exclaimed. "The barrier is containing it." But their celebration was premature. The darkness began to press against the barrier, probing for weaknesses. Where it touched the energy field, alarms blared across the fleet. Barrier integrity dropping to 85%, Guardian announced. "The darkness is adapting faster than historical records indicated. Breach imminent in 8 minutes. Eli's expression hardened. "It's stronger than before. We need to deploy the spear now." All eyes turned to the small vessel positioned at the center of the fleet formation. Unlike the other ships, the spear was sleek and silver, designed for a single purpose. "Who's piloting it?" Admiral Zorn asked. Nancy stepped forward, her posture reflecting the military bearing of the tactical officer whose memories she now shared. "I am." "No," Eli protested. "The neural overlay isn't stable enough for that level of integration. The pilot needs to merge completely with the ship's systems." "Patricia volunteered for this mission 5,000 years ago," Nancy said firmly. "She trained specifically for it. Her pattern is already aligned with the spear's controls. It has to be me." Before anyone could argue further, the ship rocked violently. Barrier failing at Section 27. Kyle shouted. The darkness is breaking through. Nancy locked eyes with Eli. There's no time to debate. You know I'm right. After a moment's hesitation, Eli nodded grimly. Guardian, prepare the spear for launch. Transfer control to Lieutenant Russell's neural pattern. As Nancy hurried toward the launch bay, Eli addressed the remaining crew. All ships, reinforce Barrier Section 27. Divert emergency power to dimensional stabilizers. The fleet responded instantly, shifts in formation strengthening the weakened section of the barrier. But the darkness continued its relentless assault. In the spear's cockpit, Nancy settled into the pilot's seat. As her hands touched the controls, Patricia's memories flooded forward, guiding her movements with practiced precision. Spear ready for deployment, she reported calmly. Lieutenant Russell. Eli's voice came through the comm. On behalf of humanity, past and present, I thank you for your courage. Just doing my duty, she replied. Same as they did. The launch bay doors opened, revealing the shimmering barrier and beyond it, the absolute nothingness of the darkness. Spear launching in 3, 2, 1. The silver vessel shot forward, passing through the fleet's barrier into the void. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the spear began to glow, brighter and brighter, until it rivaled a small sun. Energy build up at maximum, Maya reported. She's activating the dimensional inversion. The spear plunged deeper into the darkness, its light somehow penetrating the perfect blackness. Then, with a silent flash that nonetheless blinded sensors, it detonated. Where there had been void, a swirling vortex appeared. The darkness seemed to shriek, not with sound, but with a psychic pressure felt by everyone connected to the neural network. The entity began to fold in upon itself, drawn inexorably into the vortex. It's working, Kyle shouted. The dimensional inversion is forcing the darkness back through the rift it originally came from. For 10 tense minutes, they watched as the ancient enemy that had haunted humanity's final days was pulled back into the space between dimensions. Finally, with a last violent surge, the vortex collapsed in upon itself and vanished. In its place remained only normal space, stars shining peacefully, as if nothing had happened. Lieutenant Russell. Eli called into the comm. Nancy, do you copy? Only static answered. Hours later, as emergency teams helped complete the evacuation of Proxima Colony, Eli stood on the flagship's observation deck with Admiral Zorn and the remaining team members.